Hey, good morning. It's Fort Worth Playboy, and this is the Fort Worth Playboy Morning Show. We're going to go a little bit early. We got a lot going on this morning, and I've got to pack it in, and I want to make sure that I get everything covered and in your lap and useful. And it is Memorial Day, so people will be a little bit slow on the uptake. And just a general reminder for those that don't know, you don't say Happy Memorial Day. It's a day of remembrance. Of those who have passed in the service of our country. So, what is the Fort Worth Playboy Morning Show? Even just saying it makes me laugh. We cover game, pickup, relationships, and sex. And when I say we, it's usually me and my Playboy's Bunny, and she and I cover these topics. We're together on Thursday mornings at 7 a.m. Today she is traveling, and it will be just me. And we fall. Our organization, My Playboy's Bunny and Fort Worth Playboy, we are under the umbrella of the Red Pill, which is MGTOW and men's rights activists and everything that has to do with intersectional dynamics, be it economic, social, psychological, just really, unfortunately, the war of the genders at times, and how things work best, which is what game is. Game is tactical. The Red Pill is strategic, and the red pill is strategic and game is tactical. When you come to our timeline or a YouTube video, or you invest in one of our products or programs, it's to help you become better tactically at moving a girl from a complete stranger to in your bed and naked. Improving your long-term relationships and improving your overall relationships, and even up to reigniting the passion in a 20 or 30-year marriage, which is what Bunny's really good at. And it's probably one of the most difficult things to do. But she has a history of success with this. So we will talk about today. We always begin with a maxim, and today's maxim is very short, very sweet, very to the point, but extremely important overall. Maxim number 48, respect the momentum, Chateau Hartiste. In the beginning, when you're first learning game, you're learn charisma, you're improving your personality and how you carry yourself through the world. This won't make a lot of sense in the beginning. You won't actually use it that much. But once you've been doing it for a while, you'll start seeing where this matters. It's just like I had a gentleman that's in our VIP group who's a relative beginner, a younger guy. He hasn't had a lot of experience. I mean, he hasn't had a lot of success because he hasn't had a lot of experience meeting women, moving them from stranger to in his bed. But just getting to speak with women would be the first step. And recently, he's finally had some breakthroughs where he said he really captured what outcome independence means, which is he kind of got outside of his head finally, which is hard for a young guy to not really care what these girls thought of him. And so he started saying hi, just like I always tell guys, say hi to every attractive girl you see. And some of the girls that he had his normal day-to-day routine and interacting with, he started making more eye contact, saying hi, and then they started opening him up with small talk and conversation. But it's a step in the right direction. It's small things. This is momentum, because you go from saying hi to small talk to asking her out with the girls that you do click with that are showing you indications of interest. And I'm running out of oxygen or something. They show you indicators of interest. You have to respect the momentum. And momentum can even work when you meet up with a girl, say for drinks, and things are going well. Unfortunately, some guys will stay because these are men. They have a two-step system, and they only will follow that two-step system instead of what I call calling an audible. They're having such a good time that first night. They usually have like a 45-minute cutoff, but it's going well. You have to respect the momentum and strike while the iron is hot. The classic escalation window, or attraction has an expiration date. That's why you have to respect momentum, and it will come in many forms. It can come in the form of, you and a girl click. So you need to run this thing as far as she will allow you to, all the way to in your bed. When you're online, you'll notice it's almost like baseball players. They'll be on like a hitting streak, like they get a hit every time they go up, one after another. You have to respect the momentum, and there will be times where you'll just be killing it. You have to respect that. You have to take advantage of that and do more when the momentum is in your direction. And it's sometimes luck's just not cracking your way. Guys will go, man, I don't think it works. I don't think my online game works anymore. And this stuff kind of ebb and flows. And to tell you as deep as I can is, even if you don't have kids, most even business cycles follow the school year, at least in the US. So like the last 2 weeks of school, which we've just gone through, are just a killer for business. They're a killer on the online game. They're a killer for dating, if you're dating adults. Because even if she doesn't have kids, everything kind of slows down because kids are busy. The people with kids are super busy. Business doesn't work right. Service doesn't work right. So everything's kind of thrown off. So even if you don't have kids, the normal day-to-day life is shaped heavily towards the school year. And so we're about to go into summer, which will initially, girls will have a lot of freedom, especially for the girls that don't have their kids, or a lot of people go out of town. So even businesses slow down. So girls with jobs won't be as burdened, especially like in Texas. It's just so goddamn hot that everything slows down to a crawl, even in the cities, just because it's nearly impossible to do anything. But that's the deal with respecting the momentum. You have to use a little bit of intuition and look at the overall picture. But when you feel that things are going in your way, things are breaking in your direction, a girl is showing you indicators of interest, you need to go with that and respect that momentum and take advantage of it when it presents itself. So that's respect the momentum. Maxim number 48 from Chateau Artiste. Let's see what else we have in store for you today. Don't try to physically escalate in front of her friends. Her slut-shaming alarm will go off and she'll shut down. Privacy is needed to give her plausible deniability. This can be with social circle game. This can be where you meet a girl at a club. This can be where you meet a girl out. But physically escalating, there are exceptions. You're talking like certain, like spring break, very, very late at night. Certain times lend themselves to physical escalation where our friends are nearby. But generally, you need to understand that women and girls want their sex lives to be as opaque to their friends and to other men as humanly possible. Like it's just a black screen. Nobody can see through it. That's why we're always saying, like, when girls go on travel, they love the anonymity. They love big cities. They love apps. Anything that can give I call it the girls do porn effect, which is these girls were told that their videos that they would shoot and they'd be paid for would never go outside of like this private collector's collection. So they said, okay, I can do that if it's going to remain, private and anonymous. But of course, as soon as they shot the video, it was distributed widely on the internet. And so they were no longer anonymous. They sued the guys and there were criminal charges. So, but what's important in that is that when they could remain anonymous, they were like, okay with it. And if they had remained anonymous, they probably would have never brought it up ever again. But anonymity for women to be able to hide their sex lives is extremely important. And when you can facilitate that, you're going to have more sex with more women. It's like we always say, Playboys have to be discreet. Players have to be discreet. If girls know you'll keep their secrets, they'll tell you more secrets. So don't try to physically escalate in front of her friends. Just don't do it. Just set up a date, a meetup for another time. Move her. So, hey, you want to get out of here? Her slut shaming alarm will go off and she will shut down. And again, if she's like in front of her friends, she may shut down. She may shut down permanently. So you want to at least leave the opening for the future. And that's when you say, hey, I got to get out of here, but why don't we meet up tomorrow? Tomorrow evening, you come over, have drinks. Privacy is needed to give her plausible deniability. Again, what is plausible deniability? For a girl, all sex has to just happen. She cannot have a hand in it whatsoever. She can't have any input, any action, any thought, anything that makes it happen. It all has to be your idea. That way she can say, I didn't mean to have sex. It just happened. And this is why we say, like, if you're following my dating system and you're at your last location or if things are going your way, you've got momentum, you can say, hey, I own a midget. Why don't you come on up to my apartment and you can meet my midget? Or you can meet my chimpanzee, or you can see my art collection, or you can see my guitar collection. My art collection, it doesn't matter. What she has to have is a plausible reason for her to be there, where you move her to a private area where sex can happen, which is what a date's about. So she needs plausible deniability. Your job is to provide that for her, for a reason for her to be in a private area that has nothing to do with sex, but then the sex just happened. And when you grab this, guys get all bent out of shape, believe it or not, these are basics. This is like tie your fucking shoes or, wear pants when you're outdoors. You need to give girls plausible deniability, especially if you haven't had sex with them before, to give them a reason so they can tell their friends. They got to explain to her girlfriends how this happened. So she has to have a story that will explain why she was in your apartment, why she was parked at a park in your car, why y'all were in a public bathroom together. It just happened. So that's what you need to provide in order to make things happen that you want to happen and she wants to happen. But again, privacy is needed to give her plausible deniability. And you need to provide that. And it's any reason whatsoever, non-sexual, to get her into a private area where sex can happen. And that's extremely important. It's a foundational tenet in game. So you need to use it. The sooner you can have a couple of lines that you can throw out there. And again, it doesn't even matter. You don't have to own a guitar. You don't have to own a monkey. You don't have to have a midget, because once you get to the apartment or your house, none of that matters. So you can just roll with it. But that's the real deal. Do not try to physically escalate in front of her friends or in a social circle. Social circle game is even more important. Like, if you get the vibe off of a friend within your circle, you need to not try to physically escalate anywhere near mutual friends. You need to at least make a pitch to meet up with you at another time or somewhere else. That way you can actually focus in, and she can focus in on you and not worry about what other people are thinking, because that's a huge, huge deal with women, is their social standing, which is understandable. So don't try to physically escalate in front of her friends. Her slut shaming alarm will go off and she'll shut down. And sometimes once she shuts down that escalation window, it shuts and then it doesn't open again because you're a guy that doesn't get it. Privacy is needed to give her plausible deniability. That's a real deal. So I have a series called Girl Logic, and it's how girls think. And by the way, if you want to ask a question that I can answer during the broadcast, I'll do my very best. You have to go to YouTube, because if you type it into Twitter, I won't see it. But if you want to, you can go to Twitter on YouTube on the comment section, type it in and I'll get your question and I'll answer it to the best of my ability. Girl logic. He never texts. He just shows up. He hides me from his girlfriend, family, and friends. I'm going to fuck him harder. Girl logic is the exact opposite of what guy logic is. Guy logic is everything like you talk to guys that don't understand women. They're like, oh, she doesn't want me banging other girls. You know, she doesn't want to know that any other girls are interested in me. I need to text her. I need to be in front of her. I need to make sure that no other dudes get a chance to talk to her. All this other shit. And then once you discover game and you run a number of women over time, you start seeing that it's almost like upside down or opposite world. It's nothing like you thought it should be. He never texts. He just shows up. He never talks to any of his friends about me. And I'm going to fuck him harder because she wants to chase. She wants to. And again, remember, this is after they've started having sex. This is before you kind of have to make things happen. Before sex starts happening, you have to physically, mentally, in every facet, make things happen. Once sex starts, the momentum shifts into your favor. Girls will start chasing you. Done right, okay? This is 99% of them. That is when things change. And again, I always try to tell guys, and I put it out there, that girls need a certain level of anxiety to get turned on. And for guys outside of our world, and even women, they'll object to this. Because I don't know if it just sounds aggressive, maybe violent, but a girl does need a certain amount of uncertainty. Another phrase we use, girls don't like men who like them. Because you can talk to a girl and she'll have been fucking some dude for 6 months and she'll go, you know what? I don't even know if he likes me. Because they don't know. The guy's just like, he shows up, he's having sex with her, she enjoys it, she's kind of chasing him, she's always available. He never texts, he just shows up, he hides me from his family, I don't know any mutuals, and she says, you know what? I'm going to double down on this guy. I'm going to fuck him even harder next time he shows up. And then maybe he'll stick around. Maybe he'll show a little interest. Again, girls will say it, and you can actually, you know, when I keyed in on this, I don't even know if he likes me. Again, women don't like men who like them. Again, if you're chasing some girl before you start fucking her, she's going to run away. So, you know, you have to make things happen, but you have to do it with a certain amount of mystery, because girls, and studies have shown, girls are more attracted to men that they're not sure what his feelings for her are. You have to keep that in mind and keep your game, your story to yourself. But just remember that you don't have to overinvest. In fact, it's probably best that you invest less than her. You know, we always say the golden rule, 2/3. For every 3 actions or words, you provide 2. And Bunny even says that still seems like a lot. It might be 1 to 3 or 1 to 5. Again, even like with texting, she should have a wall of text on the left-hand side. You should have a couple of words and then another wall of text of her where she's over investing in you. And that's great. Again, 2/3, the golden rule. But again, he never texts. He just shows up. He hides me from his girlfriend, family, and friends. I'm going to fuck him harder. The less you do, this is in game, the less you do, the more effect it has. It's a strange thing, but that's how it works. And once you kind of like get this balance, you start hitting that sweet spot, you realize like the less you do while still getting her to pursue you, and this is after sex starts, the better everyone enjoys the relationship. You get to enjoy it. She gets to chase you, which is really when a girl is happiest, when she's chasing a high value man. When she's got him in her sights, she's having sex with him. regularly, that's the honeymoon period. Again, you see all these videos lately where these girls are sitting in their car crying about being, no long-term prospects. Let me convey when they go, I'm single, or I've been single for 7 years. It has nothing to do with they're having sex with someone, but they don't have like a guy that's high enough value for them to pursue. So that is when a woman is happiest, is when she's chasing a man. And other than giving birth to their children, that's their greatest joy in life, is chasing a high value man, capturing him, turning him into whatever she wants him to be, and hopefully he stays somewhat attractive to her over time. So Fort Worth Playboy, Bouncer 182, question of the day. Fort Worth Playboy, any tips on how to develop indifference if you care too much what girls think of you? There's only two things that can really help you with this, Bouncer 182, and I appreciate your question. I appreciate you being here. Is one, meeting more girls. The more girls, and these things, two things kind of work together, and they come down to being a veteran. The more girls you have running, the more girls you can kind of like be interacting with, the less overinvestment you'll have in any one girl. I mean, even if you just have like 3 or 4 that you're texting, that you're kind of like trying to move from stranger to in your bed, that are somewhere along the spectrum. You might be meeting someone up tonight. So, if you're meeting some girl tonight, you're kind of focusing on making sure your game's good tonight. So you won't be thinking too much about the girl that didn't respond to a text that you sent her yesterday. You're already moved on. And then you're already always filling the top of the funnel, either through, day game or social circle game or job game or Uber Eats game or online game. It doesn't matter. The more girls you're moving, the less, like I said, less is more. The more spread out you are. You don't have as much time to really focus in on what one girl is doing. And I remember reading this way back. I mean, in the very beginning when I started learning this stuff was, as soon as a guy approaches a dating coach or a pickup artist, and the guy's problem is he says, I've got this one girl. That's always the problem, is it's this one girl. So girls are better managed until you start banging them on a regular basis to be one of many. She's just one of many. And the second thing is time. The more things you go through, the more girls you see come and go and come back. And the more girls you go through over time, again, running lots of women, the less any one girl will affect you. Again, it's like, what is his name? It's a Canadian guy. And he's kind of like, I would even, cars and entrepreneurs in cars, I think it may be Rich Cooper. He has the classic phrase of, she's not yours, she's just yours right now, or something to that effect. I mean, she's not yours, she's yours right now. That's the classic. And once you kind of like have gone through enough women over time, you see the frame. I mean, you really do see in time when you're older that these women that have come in and out of your life, you really, to maybe you can look at it if you want to, that you're hers just right then, and then you're somebody else's. But mostly with women, the guy, she will be someone else's. She was banging somebody the week that you met her. She's fucking you this week, and she'll be fucking someone else the week after you guys break up, if not the day of your breakup. And once you kind of like realize that and you take the emotion out of it, that's the hard part. You kind of have to separate yourself, but you realize that this is actually how things happen. It's just your turn. Correct. Thank you, Jeff. Jeff, give me the whole saying if you can. because my brain's not working apparently this morning. But you are in a certain time frame. You're the one in front of her, and so she's just yours for right now. It's just your turn, and then it'll be somebody else's turn to be the guy that's banging her, guys that are banging her. Again, that's time. She's not yours. It's just your turn. Exactly. Thank you, Jeff. She's not yours. It's just your turn. And again, this isn't, and it freaks guys out and they get really like all bent out of shape about it. But you have to realize that like literally that's the best frame to mentally think about it is it's like you're her girl, her guy right now. And then it'll be someone else coming in behind you. That's how relationships, girls go through serial monogamy over time. You can be, you start looking at like a lifetime, unless you meet a girl your senior year in high school and you stay married for 50 or 70 years. It happens. You're usually going to go through a lot of women. And that's kind of your job, especially if you're in this little world. You provide them excitement and entertainment and a possible future. And it really just comes down. You're a unique experience for them that they remember forever. That's the bottom line. So again, running a lot of women, as many women as you can manage time-wise, or are interested. If you have other businesses and you're improving your body and you have other hobbies, of course you only have a limited amount of time, and that's fine. But run as many women. Don't do the one thing. As many women as humanly possible, and you'll be less focused on any one girl. And everybody benefits from that. Believe it or not, the more is less rules the day on this. So that and time, you got to have some experience, but you can pack a lot of experience running a rotation for a year or two. You can pack most men's lifetime experience into 1 or 2 years, because when you're running a rotation, you're going to have all kinds of sexual adventures that you never planned on, simply because there's so many women in your life and they start bumping into each other. So those are the two things that you can do to flatten your learning curve and kind of take your emotions out of it. Because I don't tell people to just swallow their pride or anything like that, because I think it's better to have a couple of physical things that you can do that will help offset or to see things in the big picture. This is a common question that I get. And Jeff, I appreciate your question, by the way. If you don't have a lot of sexual experience, you don't have to tell the girl if it bothers you. And I suggest that you don't. I suggest that you run your game and close. And now you're getting experience. And 1 or 2 girls that you can bang a lot will help build up your experience. It helps you build up your confidence too. And she most likely can't even tell. 99% of girls will not be able to tell if you don't say a word. Again, most girls are terrible in bed. They are self-conscious. They can't move their bodies. They're overweight. They are worried about how they look. Their belly's hanging out. Their ass is hanging out. All kinds of things that have nothing. They don't even probably remember the first couple of times you have sex, because they're so concerned with themselves. So they're not even going to be aware of how good or bad or indifferent you are. And Bunny and I did a video on this, which expands on this. And it's a very pat answer. If you don't have a lot of experience, don't say a word about it. Just simply go with the flow. Pretend that you do. That's how you do it. Just pretend that you have, or fake it till you make it. That works in this realm. Again, you can fake it, and again, girls won't know. And when we're talking about like trying to lock in a girl, you want to like bang her, escalate, bang, and try to have sex with her 2, 3, 4 times that first week, and then kick it back to once a week, where you can kind of like manage a few girls at one time. It's the only time that we recommend that you see a girl more than once a week, is that first week or two, where you're trying to lock her in sexually so she's used to seeing you. What you do not want to do is have sex with her once and then call her 3 weeks later. Because, like I said, that's how you get girls that go, I don't want to be your fuck buddy, fuck off. And then you're sitting there holding your dick in your hand. So remember, you want lots of sex in a short amount of time, as many times as you can logistically, where you break, you see her the next day, you have sex again. A couple days later, you have sex with her again. Again, 3 to 4 times, not 3 to 4 times in one day, will help lock her in on what you guys are doing. Give me a second. Let me look through these. Okay. Here's a damn good question. So if you don't have a lot of sexual experience, you don't have to tell the girl if it bothers you. And I wouldn't. And we have an entire video on this, and I'll link it below this video here. And she most likely can't even tell, because I can't remember exactly how we titled it. And we've done nearly 300 of these things now. So, and it may you may want to search experience. Edgardo, and forgive me if I've said your name wrong, has a damn good question. It's a very common question too. Women who used to be fat most of her life, but has changed her lifestyle and is now fit, green flag or red flag? This is a good one. And this is something that Bunny kind of keyed me into, because she and I have worked with a lot of people, in weight loss and in fitness and changing your habits. And in this case, one, what are the positives? Well, one, they feel better when they've gotten the weight off. They kind of have a new body. So they want to test drive it, and they definitely feel adventurous. And they have a new lease on life. So there's all kinds of positive emotions and positive physical things going on there that can benefit you and her. Again, a lot of them, there's so many girls that I've known over time, they're like, I wanted to try this thing out, for a year. They just go out with a different guy, like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, because they're like, I got this new thing, and they've never been as attractive as they are now. It's like, for a guy, it'd be like waking up and you're like 6'7" and chiseled, and you have $4 million in the bank. You literally wake up that way. And for a girl to lose weight and become more attractive, 2 or 3 points, they go from a 4 to a 7 or a 4 to a 6. That's significant. That's a completely different person quite often. They'll run into friends that haven't seen them in a couple of years that won't recognize them. They'll go, do you not know who I am? These are the green flags. These are the good things. So you can kind of balance it. The red flags, and I never thought about this, but Bunny pointed it out to me, because again, she's got way more experience when it comes to interacting with women long term, as far as the weight loss. Is the red flag is if they've lost a bunch of weight as an adult, and they should experience another stressful episode. And it can be a pregnancy, it can be the death of a parent, it can be financial challenges, it can be your physical health going bad. They will tend to default to their old habits. That's the risk. And it's not uncommon. It's not uncommon because, again, it's their coping mechanism. Let's say your coping mechanism is to run 4 or 5 miles. It's to actually do more physical exercise. It's to eat less and exercise yourself into exhaustion. But theirs is to slow everything down. They start eating. They start, stopping on the way home. They start eating fast food. Maybe it's logistics. But again, they default to their habits that helped them deal with stress in the past, and then they start gaining weight. That's your red flag. And we have seen it. You can see this consistently over time if you really know what you're looking at. And then they might lose it down the road or not. But again, the stress response, and it can be even good stress, like a pregnancy, can cause the weight to come back. They just have a propensity. It's kind of like if you're an alcoholic and you're going to drink socially again. You have a greater propensity, if you're under a stressful situation, to drink even more. So that's how you have to look at it. It's not such just, focus in. It can be any type of stress response. And that's a good question. So there's positives, and they definitely, and it's funny because I do see guys that mention this, that girls that have had weight issues in the past are forced to develop a personality, which I thought was interesting, because if you're in the gym, you're always around people that are a little bit more active or mentally active too, and more outgoing than your average office worker that gets in the car, drives to work, drives home, doesn't interact with people. So, I think it's interesting that that's one thing that guys have said, that girls that used to carry a lot of weight were forced to develop personalities to balance out. So then you have this girl that's 2 or 3 points more attractive, and she has a well-developed personality, and she knows what it's like being the underdog. That's a damn good question, and I hope I answered it as well as I could. Bunny and I get a unique bird's eye view of a lot of this stuff. Very unique situations, but this is a pretty common thing, especially with weight being such an issue for Americans now. Let's see. We got one more, because then I'm going to be on the move. Contrary to popular opinion, as women age, their list of demands gets longer, not shorter. This is to protect their massive ego from the dearth of attention from alphas. And I wrote this probably about as harsh and about as 180 as you possibly can. But what I find interesting is younger writers or guys that are just dealing with cougars, let's say a guy's not even 30 yet. His perception of women, older women, is that they've got easier, more relaxed standards. Where in reality, if you're watching this thing from a distance or over time, at about 35, before, they're like, I want to have fun, I want to party, I want to have a cute boyfriend, blah, blah, blah. And then at about 35, their list starts expanding. He needs to be making this much money. He needs to own a house. He needs this. And a lot of this has to do with, whether it's mentioned or not, is the boyfriend, engagement, wedding, house, babies, girl blueprint. That's a girl's blueprint for life right there. The vast majority. You have outliers. Don't worry about them. We're talking about the vast majority. 86% of women will have a child, a live birth, in their lifetime. That leaves 10 to 14% not having kids. That's not that many. So the boyfriend, engagement, wedding, house, babies is the way they go. And see, sometimes you'll see them change it up. They want the house. That's why they'll buy their own house. They're 35, 37 and never married. They'll buy their own house because they got to skip that step. They're running out of time. They'll go wedding, babies. They'll be pregnant on their wedding. They start speeding things up because they know that's the blueprint. But you start seeing these lists of what they demand. Again, it has nothing to do with what they'll accept or who they're going out with. But on paper, their demands go higher. And there's a couple of reasons for this. One, they have more experience. They've been burned a million times. They've been pumped and dumped. And they're also in competition with other women. They say, if my list is this long, and hers is this long, I have a higher value than this. It's kind of like when you see women on social media saying, if you're married and you contact me, I will contact your wife. No one's contacting her. It doesn't matter. What she wants people to know is, one, she's single, and two, for other women to think that their husband could succumb to her. So remember, women are always competing with each other, and all these lists really are a competition. And it's an ideal, list, but once you get in the room with them, it goes out the window. Charisma overrides everything. And again, you'll see these girls with these 35 bullet point lists, and then they're going out with the, ex-con who works down at Jiffy Lube and then stops working when he moves in with her. So, they get married. It has nothing to do with reality, but their list of demands grows longer, at least what they expect. But what they settle for are two different things. That's a real deal. Contrary to popular opinion, as women age, their list of demands gets longer, not shorter. This is to protect their massive ego from the dearth of attention from alphas or even men in general. And that's a real deal. We're at 40 minutes, gentlemen, and I'm going to have to go. And I appreciate your time today. Try to get a couple of questions answered. I'll be back at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, and we'll probably actually roll it at 7 a.m., not 6:30. But I appreciate your time. If you have any questions or want to expand on your knowledge, check out fortworthplayboy.gumroad.com. All of my products are there, and join up. And I look forward to speaking with you guys tomorrow. And thank you for your questions. Have a great morning.